Let me introduce you guys to Hank Kunneman. He's a megachurch pastor, and he's famous for prophesying that Donald Trump would win the 2020 election. I was looking for a good clip to show you guys to introduce you to him in case you haven't seen him before. I don't think I've played this on my channel before, not in a long time, so let's give it a watch. This came out late April 2021. It's pretty entertaining if I do say so myself, and it'll give you a good idea of the types of things that this guy talks about at his megachurch, the types of things that he stands for. So give this a listen.
And so we're being awakened. Wow, this is what socialism looks like. I've been to Russia. I've been to Ukraine. I've been to Siberia. I've been to communist nations. I've been to those in South America, Central America.
Okay, Russia is not communist or socialist. It's an oligarchy, right? It was originally communist, if I remember correctly, and then it completely collapsed into an entirely unregulated economy, which, as it turns out, is really, really bad, really ugly. Ukraine is not socialist or communist. What were the other ones he listed?
I've been to those in South America, Central America. And I'm telling you, the United States, we don't understand what their agenda is, but we're being awakened to it pretty quick.
Whose agenda? Who are we talking about right now? What he's using right now is something called weasel words. Some amorphous they who's out to get him, who has a secret plan and agenda to ruin everyone's life, who lives like him, and they're all powerful and they know everything and they can do anything they want. But they're too stupid to prevent anybody from finding out what their plan is. They have to simultaneously be geniuses and control everything, and too stupid to be able to do anything with all the power that they have.
And there's a lot of people that...
3 claps in the background, love it.
And there's a lot of people that voted for the Bidenites.
The Bidenites, okay?
The Bidenites are about to be removed, right? God's going to eliminate the Canaanites, the termites, and the Bidenites.
Yeah, so that's Hank Kunneman, and I feel that's a pretty good example of the types of things that he says and does. He's an odd bird, to say the least. I found that clip particularly interesting because he seems to be grouping Biden supporters into a category the same way that Trump supporters are in a category, where in reality, Biden voters are not in a cult that revolves around the person that they voted for. I voted for Biden. I am only invested in the future of the country, making sure that the country succeeds. If Biden isn't the right guy for the job, I won't vote for him. Simple as that. It's not some obsession where I make it my entire personality, where I put Biden's name across my truck, hang my flag out front that says Biden 2024, whatever else. It's not like that. That's the kind of thing you see with Trump supporters. It's a cult. You don't see it with Biden supporters. I just want to push back a little bit against the characterization there of the Bidenites or the Bidenots or whatever he called them. Anyway, he released a new clip recently, mid-July 2022, and it was pretty interesting. He's making new prophecies about Trump and the Democrats and whistleblowers and all kinds of stuff. So listen to what he has to say here. It gets a little wild.
Spirit of God says, do you know that they speak of whistleblowers? But I've got news for those in the earth. I am the one that has blown the whistle on their agenda.
Right now, he's supposed to be speaking God's words through his mouth. He's pretending that he's speaking prophecy. This is the same kind of thing as like books in the Bible. The book of Kunneman, chapter 8, verse 3. That's the level that we're at right now in his mind. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. He thinks he's writing new books of the Bible. So listen to his new book of the Bible here.
Blown blown the whistle on their agenda. Therefore, watch the accusations that they have brought against the one who they say they beat in an election. I speak of Donald Trump, says the Lord. Ha! Watch what I do.
Dude, if God really did want Trump to win the election, then he would have snapped his fingers and made it happen, right? This makes absolutely no sense to me. Isn't he all powerful? If he wants something, he makes it happen. I don't understand. How are you to the point in your life where you believe that God wanted something and then that thing did not happen? It was like a dice roll. It was like a game of chance. You know, the election could have gone either way at that moment. God could have easily swayed people's hearts if he wanted, or he could have just straight up changed reality to reflect what he wanted it to be, right? He didn't even have to meddle with people's hearts. He didn't have to meddle with people's desires or brain states or anything. He could have snapped his fingers and said, Trump is now the president, and that's all there is to it. But this guy is telling us that God made Trump win the election, but Biden somehow reversed that and usurped God's power and made it so that Trump actually lost? Like, I don't understand. Is he all powerful or not? This absolutely blows me away. How did this guy get to this point? I'll tell you how he got to this point, in all seriousness. He made a false prophecy, and the punishment for that is being stoned. So he cannot admit that it's a false prophecy. If he admits that Biden actually did win the election, as he did, Hank Kunneman loses his entire church, loses everybody. They up and leave. They stop donating. This is making him richer. That's why he's talking about this. Richer than it would if he came clean about lying about the prophecy in the first place, at least. That's why he's still talking about this right now.
Watch what I do to raise up the sound of those on that day who shall blow their cuffer, and they shall be whistleblowers that shall bring the whole thing down, 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 down.
I just don't understand how this guy honestly believes that something is going to happen to prove that this big cabal was cheating and blah, blah, blah in this election, when he's been saying this for years. Like, come on. At some point, you have to admit it's fake, right? You have to admit that you're full of it. When your prophecies don't come true after enough tries, you'd think he would learn better than to make those false prophecies. Does this guy really believe he's talking to God? He can't possibly at this point, right? He has had enough failed prophecies at this point. He can't possibly believe that he's for real. I don't believe in assuming people's intentions. I don't know if he really does believe the things that he says or not. I prefer to make as few assumptions as humanly possible. So my default position with Hank Kunneman is, I don't know. My default position with all of these guys is I don't know. I think that's the correct position. We don't know what's in their heads. They could really believe this stuff. But just to offer a little friendly and entertaining speculation, I think he knows, personally. I think he knows.
Their agenda shall crumble. Their hearings shall backfire. And they shall look foolish, because God says, can I cause a donkey to speak?
Who's going to look foolish? I feel it's pretty obvious at this point who looks foolish in this whole situation, sadly. I'm sorry, Hank, but you're not making yourself look any better with, clips like this, honestly. And what was that bit about making a donkey speak?
Can I cause a donkey to speak?
God says, can I cause a donkey to speak? What does that even mean? I don't understand. He's using this language like he's some special person that God's speaking through. Ask the atheist, can I cause a donkey to speak? Is a reference to Numbers chapter 22. Oh, is it? In which Balaam, the soothsayer, went to curse the Israelites, and on the way there, God made his donkey talk to him. Okay. You know what? That makes sense now. I remember that now that you're telling me about it. I totally forgot that story even existed. Numbers chapter 22. Yeah, thank you for the reference on that.
Can I cause a donkey to speak? Watch what I do, and I shall have even some who sided with the donkey party. They're going to start talking.
Of course, the donkey party being the Democrats. The two parties have animal representations. The elephant is the Republicans. The donkey is the Democrats. I'm not sure why he's saying donkey party or the donkey to speak or whatever else. It just doesn't really make sense to me. But for the record, what he's doing here is illegal. And according to IRS tax code 501c3, he should have his tax-exempt status revoked. But they don't seem to be prosecuting those cases at this moment, unfortunately.
And they're gonna reveal just what took place, not only upon the night of your election and thereafter, but God says even on their supposed insurrection of January 6th.
God's going to reveal the secrets about the supposed insurrection on January 6th. What are these alleged secrets, Hank? I am so deeply curious. Trump was screaming about it being Antifa from day one. So that's been proven without a shadow of a doubt to be completely false. It wasn't Antifa. It was Trump supporters barging their way into the Capitol and trying to take hostages. That's actually what happened. There's absolutely no doubt about it at this point. But I would love to know what propagandistic route this guy is trying to take right now.
Because God says, I'm going to not only bring global freedom, I'm going to bring freedom to many things that they have said were true, but they are lying.
He's going to bring global freedom to things that they said are true, but they're lying? I don't understand. But aside from that, please, no more talk. Make it happen. Talk is cheap. Isn't that a saying that people say or used to say or something? Talk is cheap. Let's show me some action. Let's see it. If God's going to bring everybody freedom or whatever, do it. Show me something. I'm waiting.
Therefore, watch me shred it, blow their cover, and watch as there be many voices now that shall speak and will expose them.
Okay, now he's giving us some weird facial expressions. I don't know what this is about. Anyway, great. Great. Show us. I'm just waiting for evidence, man. That's all I want. Give me some evidence, and I'm instantly a believer, just like that. You could turn me into an evangelical Christian today if you just provided us some evidence. Well, that's not strictly true. I would never worship a God as depraved and evil and grotesque as the God that evangelicals worship. But I would at least believe that it was true, at the very least. I can't promise I'd worship, but I would believe you at the very least. Just show me evidence. It's all I want.
And the true insurrectionists will be brought to justice.
Okay, some of the insurrectionists have already been brought to justice. They're already being charged with crimes. In fact, there's some insurrectionists have been charged with seditious conspiracy, I believe. Like full-blown sedition against the U.S. government. That's a pretty big deal. So who are these true insurrectionists we're talking about here? I would love to know. And once again, with the weird facial expressions. It's because he wants you to believe that God's speaking through him right now. Like I said before, this is not his first failed prophecy, so I wouldn't hold my breath on any of this. I wish he would have elaborated on what he expects to happen with the January 6th people. Like, is God going to reveal that it was really Antifa in disguise or something? I just want to know what he believes is going to happen. But anyway, why don't we take a look at another failed prophecy that he made late August 2021. This one is a little, God, I keep wanting to say conspiracy, not prophecy. It's a prophecy. I'm sorry. This is a little prophecy I like to call flop flip. Listen to this one, late August 2021.
But watch, for you have heard the saying, flip, flop. But I speak to you this day, flop, flip. You say, what do you mean? I speak flop, flip, because the agenda of hell and those who have agreed and thought that they could steal this land through your election and steal the future from your children, it shall flop.
First of all, I find it interesting that God speaks in American idioms. I would have thought that God would have thrown off all cultural references or barriers or anything so that the maximum number of people could understand what he was saying. But okay, God speaks in American idioms. That's news to me. It's interesting. Now, as far as the actual prophecy goes, which is people trying to steal the election, quote unquote, will flop. It won't succeed. Well, I mean, the election wasn't stolen, first of all. And second, Biden is president. So even assuming that what you're saying is true and what you believe is true, that it was stolen, it didn't flop. This sounds like a failed prophecy to me, right? What does the Bible say about false prophecies? It's been a while since I've looked at what the Bible had to say about this. Let's look it up. This is Deuteronomy chapter 18, and this is verse 14 under the prophet, the subheading, the prophet. The nations you will dispossess, listen to those who practice sorcery or divination. But as for you, the Lord your God has not permitted you to do so. The Lord your God will raise for you a prophet like me from among you, from your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him. For this is what you asked of the Lord your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly, when you said, let us not hear the voice of the Lord our God, nor see his great fire anymore, or we will die. This is establishing that there will be prophets, right? This is verse 17. The Lord said to me, what they say is good. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their fellow Israelites, and I will put my words in his mouth. He will tell them everything I command him. I myself will call to account anyone who does not listen to my words, that the prophet speaks in my name. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name, anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods is to be put to death. Wow, that's pretty specific. Let me just read that one more time. Verse 20. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name, anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods is to be put to death. That's on the nose. It doesn't get more specific than that, right? Here's verse 21. You may say to yourselves, how can we know when a message has not been spoken by the Lord? If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. That prophet has spoken presumptuously. So do not be alarmed. Here's what this is saying. If they make a prophecy that doesn't come true, it means that they're a false prophet, and the penalty for being a false prophet is to be put to death. That's what that says. Now, personally, I don't believe any of this stuff. I think this is dark, dangerous nonsense, and it shouldn't be followed under any circumstances. It certainly shouldn't be used as a moral guide. My God, do not read this and try to derive morality from it. Don't follow its instructions. This is thousands of years old. We are so much more technologically and culturally advanced than they were when this was written. But according to Hank Kunneman and his belief system, there's a penalty for what he just did. Hank should, at the very least, renounce his position as pastor of this megachurch, quit, and go find some other job to do. He is very obviously a false prophet. He lied to people, claimed he heard the voice of God when he didn't. And instead of giving up being a preacher, he's out here giving us more false prophecies. The hypocrisy is so thick you can almost see it. Keep listening to this. It gets worse.
And steal the future from your children, it shall flop. And then, watch what shall arise.
Look, I feel pretty confident in saying, by the way, that this guy is not hearing from the voice of God. Specifically in this, right? Because this prophecy was false. This did not come true. So all the weird little mannerisms that he's doing, like right here,
It shall flop.
all the mannerisms he's doing to give you the impression that he's feeling the touch of God through his body right now, it's just him being nonsensical and cringy. That's what we're watching, really.
And then, watch what shall arise. Whistleblowers after whistleblowers. They shall not only see that their agenda has flopped, they will begin to flip. And God says there will be a turning of my hand and a turning of their mouths.
Okay, interesting. I thought he was hearing the voice of God. Kind of weird that he couldn't come up with the right word there, right? If he's not the one coming up with it, you'd think that he would just say it. But that's neither here nor there. So where are the whistleblowers, Hank? Where's all this evidence that you said was going to come forth? Where is it? What happened? We've been waiting. You prophesied from God this stuff was going to happen, and here we sit. This was, I think, August 2021, so we're coming up on a year later now. What happened, buddy? Nowhere to be found. Weird. Once again, I direct you to Deuteronomy 18, verses 17 to 22.
And they will speak loudly, and they will turn on one another, and they will expose one another to save what they would think their own future. Watch for the great flip. And the Lord says, when you see this, it will flip in this nation too.
Okay, I don't understand what you're getting at there, but obviously this guy is a false prophet, a false preacher, and according to the Bible, he should at the very least, give up his preacher position. Turn over the keys to the megachurch to somebody who isn't going to make false prophecies and make a mockery of religion. Does it get more blasphemous than this, honestly? If you're a Christian, you should be offended by this. How can you possibly be okay with somebody standing up here making a complete mockery out of the things that you believe like this? The strangest thing about this is he put out another clip just a few months later, after that flop flip clip he did, early January 2022. He goes on Flashpoint and he defends it even more. Watch this.
Jesus approved of God in signs, wonders, and miracles. We need to get our eyes on the Lord, and He is not done with this nation. And I'm telling you, He is pushing back. He is bringing justice, and we are going to see the manifestations of these things with some great changes that are coming. It's not all going to be right away, but we're going to see it unravel, and flop flip is going to continue in the land of America.
He even used the nickname that he gave to that failed prophecy, flop flip. Flop flip is going to happen in America. When does he give it up? It's been, at the point that this came out, it was a year after Biden was inaugurated. It was a year and a few months after Trump lost the election. At this point, it's been nearly 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, since Trump lost the election. When are you giving this up, Hank? Come on. The answer is never, in all seriousness. The answer is never. He's not giving this up. I think this guy's a scam artist. I really do. I don't say that about everybody, but in his specific case, I think he is. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments.